Hello there, good evening. You're watching Monday's Look North. On the programme tonight, staff at an eating disorder clinic are filmed sleeping when they should have been looking after patients at risk of self-harm.
You need to have a certain level of training to make sure that you're extremely vigilant. It's not just a case of being vigilant, it's extremely vigilant.
A charity has said it's shocked and appalled by what's happened. Also tonight, the care of a fan who collapsed during a game at Hillsborough is called a shambles at an inquest into his death. One of Yorkshire's busiest railway stations reopens after being closed for a month. And we'll be live at the former club of some of England's Roses as they celebrate glory in the Rugby Union World Cup.
Well, this was fiery today. It looks like the Mediterranean, never mind the East Coast in late September. But we're heading into October this week. Are there any weather changes on the way? Join me for that very latest forecast.
Hello there, I hope you had a lovely weekend. Thanks for your company tonight. Staff at an eating disorder clinic in York have been filmed sleeping when they should have been looking after patients who are at risk of harming themselves. We've heard complaints from 9 former patients at Showen Clinic after one of them contacted us through Your Voice, Your BBC News. Now, some of them say they were served unhygienic food and the clinic closed last month. Ollie Constable can tell us more.
They were caught sleeping on the job. Members of staff pictured snoozing when they should have been watching vulnerable patients. This just one of the issues a BBC investigation has found at a specialist eating disorder clinic in York.
We'd eaten something that it was classed as falafel, and then the night staff would come in and there'd be spares in the fridge and they'd be like, "Oh, what's that in the fridge?" And we'd be like, "Oh, that's what we've had to eat for dinner." And they were like, "Oh, we won't ever be caught eating that, it looks awful." That would then make you question, well, maybe I shouldn't have eaten it.
When Molly was admitted to Shern in 2023, it was to get better.
It's very difficult to see someone that you love kind of wasting away, really.
When you have an eating disorder, you have a bit of body dysmorphia, so you don't realise the severity of it.
But after care in Leeds, she needed further help out of area. Molly would live at the residential unit in York, and she should have been supported by staff before, during and after meals, being given food which would help her recover.
That the quality of food wasn't very good. When I was having meat, I would often have bits of fat, bits of gristle in the meat, and that would make it really difficult because I wouldn't want to touch it. And then the staff would be like, "Come on, you need to eat it," and I'd be like, "Well, no, because I don't want to eat gristle."
This was filmed by another patient at Shern called Harriet. And after meals, Molly says agency staff wouldn't challenge negative behaviours, which could impact on her recovery.
The BBC has spoken to 9 former inpatients and 5 members of staff who used to work here at the clinic in York. As well as the issues with food, they also told us they saw workers watching patients self-harming and not helping them. Staff using triggering language such as "you're not skinny enough to be in here," as well as staff sleeping when they should have been watching vulnerable patients.
Quite a lot of times in post-meal support group, we would have an agency staff sat with us and they would be resting, watching TV, dozing off maybe.
This was also filmed by Harriet, but Molly said she'd seen things like this at other places where she'd received care.
There was quite a lot of patients who weren't very recovery focused in there, which was really hard to watch. And other patients would walk out, they could be self-harming. When you're in a job like that, you need to have a certain level of training to make sure that you're extremely vigilant. It's not just a case of being vigilant, it's extremely vigilant.
Molly is much better now and studying at university, but what she went through has had a huge impact on her and her family.
I think if I hadn't had such a negative experience in York, I wouldn't have had the motivation inside me to do this for myself.
Oh, you're so proud, so proud. She had to choose to do it on her own when she was at York, but she's had a lot of support along the way. I just think she's the most amazing, incredible human being. And I'm so glad that she's my daughter.
Well, we're really pleased to hear that Molly's now doing well. In a statement, Showen Clinic Group told us that where specific concerns have been raised, They've been fully investigated. Our audits have not substantiated systemic issues. We have used agency and international staff, all of whom are vetted, trained and supervised before working with patients. Well, earlier I spoke with Tom Quinn from eating disorder charity Beat to get his reaction to what we heard there.
Absolutely shocked and appalled. It's frankly unbelievable that this is happening when, these vulnerable people are going into the care of staff that are frankly letting them down, putting them at risk. We are really concerned, and it's good, of course, that the clinic is no longer open at the moment. We do think that there should be a full investigation to make sure this never happens again.
How important is it that staff are fully alert in the time after a patient has eaten? This
is often the most difficult time. We know that people in inpatient units will find eating often very distressing. They will often be likely to self-harm in these periods. There's a whole manner of risks, and it's vital that they are properly supervised and supported at all times, but particularly at their most vulnerable.
What do you put the issues down to that patients are experiencing in York? Is it down to funding?
I don't think so, because we hear from, there are lots of other eating disorder inpatient units around the country, and we're fortunately not hearing about these kind of reports. So I think it's probably more likely down to poor leadership, poor management, poor systems in place. I really do think this is going to be very unusual. And so if you're worried about yourself or a loved one, still seek medical help. Come to Beat, go to your GP, get yourself onto the road to that recovery, because actually this is very rare, this kind of circumstance. And in most cases, you'll get excellent support for these really serious illnesses.
Tom, thank you for your time. Well, if you or someone you know has been affected by the issues raised there, you can go to bbc.co.uk action line for details of organisations which offer advice and support. OK, we're going to move on now. A man has died in a suspected hit and run in Bradford. Police were called to Little Horton Lane on Saturday night. The 68-year-old man died at the scene. Police believe there were two vehicles driving in convoy at the time. A 28-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving and failing to stop. A GP has told a coroner how he screamed for help as he tried to save the life of a fellow football fan at a Sheffield Wednesday match, but nothing came. Mark Townsend died after suffering a cardiac arrest in the away end of Hillsborough a year ago. Dr Richard Stone was among the first to go to his aid. Tom Ingle reports from the inquest.
A year ago, 57-year-old Mark Townsend, a West Bromwich Albion fan, followed his team to Hillsborough, but never returned from the match. Today, as the inquest into his death resumed, two fellow fans who happened to be sitting nearby in the Leppings Lane stand described their efforts to try and save Mark's life. The first was Richard Stones, a GP. He looked at Mark, who was grey and unresponsive, and realised he was in cardiac arrest. He began CPR and told the court, "We were screaming for help, but none came." The second witness was Chelsea Jones, an off-duty paramedic for the West Midlands Ambulance Service. She continued the CPR that Richard had started and also called for help, but was told by a steward, "I don't have a radio." Some CCTV footage, lasting around 15 minutes, was played to the court, showing the pair's efforts, activity by stewards and the arrival of paramedics from a private firm covering the match. At this point, a defibrillator was used to shock Mark's heart. Dr Stones said this was a traumatic event, but the response to the emergency felt amateurish. In the witness box, he used the word shambles. But he was challenged on the length of time he said it took paramedics to arrive and their attitude when they did. This inquest is expected to last until the end of next week. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
We're going to hear from the Labour Party conference shortly and Rachel Reeves' speech about how important transport is in the north. And speaking of that, trains are running again today through Huddersfield Station after a month-long closure for engineering works. The interior has been slowly rebuilt to allow more trains to operate on the Trent-Pennine line. 13,000 bus services replaced trains through September, but the work at the station is far from complete. Here's our transport correspondent, Spencer Stokes.
A month after it closed, trains have returned to a temporarily smaller Huddersfield station, where once there were 8 platforms, there are now just 3, as the next phase of this £70 million rebuild gets underway. Throughout September, platforms were extended, tracks replaced, and 4 bridges renewed. But there's still more to do.
Well, in the short term, the service is running pretty much consistently as it's previously done. However, in the longer term, we've got a new station being built here, so we'll be extending that across, so overall the service will improve. A little bit further down the line, so in 2027 you'll see the entire station itself open up and the new station be available for the public.
13,000 bus services have operated whilst the station was closed and will continue to replace some trains until the building work is finished. There'll also be no direct services into Huddersfield from Halifax, Bradford Interchange, Brighouse and some smaller stations. But the main Transpennine Express route is running again.
Yes, I'm excited to see it.
It's not finished yet.
Oh, is it really?
There's more work to do.
Oh, I actually thought it was finished.
It's been a huge relief because it's been so chaotic for the past month.
So it's nice to be back on the train rather than on car, which is a complete and utter nightmare at times on the M62.
£11 billion is being spent on the Transpennine route upgrade, with electric trains eventually shaving 15 minutes off the York to Manchester journey time. And whilst the work continues, the government is preparing to reveal long-awaited details about Northern Powerhouse Rail, or NPR. This was first sketched out a decade ago, with the promise of a brand new line across the north. It's not clear how much money is available, where the line will now go, or if it will tie in with the ongoing upgrades. But at Labour conference today, the Chancellor recommitted to it.
This Labour government will push ahead with our plans for Northern Powerhouse Rail. A vote of confidence in the north of England to get people to work, to connect families, to create jobs and to build prosperity in towns and cities.
One city that might benefit is Bradford, where a new station on this site could be built as part of NPR. 2 big rail schemes in the north, and whilst one waits for a green light, the other takes a step forward with the reopening of Huddersfield Station. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North, Huddersfield.
We will be hearing from our political editor, James Vincent, from the Labour Party conference in Liverpool shortly. But next tonight, of course, it was a triumphant weekend for the World Cup, the Women's Rugby World Cup. There they are, some of the roses there. And did you know that some of them are from our home turf? 4 of them, actually. Captain Zoe Allcroft, Ellie Kildun, Moena Talling and Titania Hurd. All 4 of them played at West Park Rugby Club in Leeds, where Sally is now. Sally, they must all still be on cloud 9 at that club tonight. What an amazing win.
Absolutely, yeah. This is one of West Yorkshire's biggest amateur rugby union clubs, and it has a flourishing women and girls section. You can see some of them training here tonight just behind me. On Saturday, the clubhouse here was absolutely packed full of fans watching England beat Canada by 33 points to 13. The first try for England was scored by Keighley's Ellie Kildun. We'll be speaking to her mum in just a moment. But first, let's remind ourselves of a glorious weekend of world-class rugby.
Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds, and we're starting to see.
No one's touching her. She's not going to do it again. How does she do it? People want to see that. We need more people to keep on coming like this. We want to see the cowboy hats because we're going to keep on performing. We're going to keep on entertaining. That's what we're here for.
Here we go.
On a show, and I think we did that today.
Here we go with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day. It's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is
Well, that was an incredible try there, scored by Ellie Kildun, wasn't it? I'm delighted to say her mum, Alison, is here tonight. You were at Twickenham, of course. What was the atmosphere like?
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, to see 82,000 people cheering, shouting. Ellie couldn't even hear her players, so it was an atmosphere that'll stay with us forever.
Were you nervous watching her?
I'm not usually nervous, but this meant more than just a rugby match, more than a final. It meant, you know, the future of women's sport, you know, in some way. So there was a lot riding on it, but the girls really took that pressure well, I think.
How did you celebrate afterwards?
There was an after party for friends and family. We managed to blag in a lot of people, and we just danced the whole night to ABBA and all sorts of things, much to Ellie's disdain, really. And then the girls went out themselves.
Cowgirl hats?
Yeah, cowgirl hats, all sorts of things.
You must be incredibly proud.
Hugely proud, but to us she's just our Ellie, and I'm just proud that the girls have pulled it off. You know, they deserved a win after losing last time, but its future's really bright.
We nearly got tackled then. Thank you, Alison. And this club here has such pedigree because you've not just Ellie, but 3 other players have played here for their junior careers. What makes this so successful, Chris?
The quality of the coaching that's here. There's some really good
you
coaching.
Would say that.
I would say that, yeah, being coaching the women's team here. But also the facilities that we've got. You know, we've got some of the best facilities across the county. So it's a great way for any aspiring player that's sort of seen the weekend to come down and pick up a rugby ball and give it a go.
And Ellie and Zoe and Tatiana and Morwenna, now household names, but did you see that talent in them when they first started?
I only coached Zoe and Tats when they were in the Yorkshire age grades. Both of them really talented at a young age. Especially Zoe, you know, there was a lot. I compared her a lot with how Emily Scarrett used to run and move when I used to coach her here at the uni as well. So it's amazing. You never know where a player might go, what their journey might be, and all 4 of them have done really well and represent the club and the county to the best ability.
They certainly have, and I guess we always talk about legacy, don't we, when it comes to these things. You two play at a high level here. How inspiring has it been to see where Zoe and the others have gone?
It's been amazing, especially like considering playing with Ellie and Morwenna when I was a bit younger, and they were obviously a bit younger. It's amazing to see where they've got to, and it leaves such a legacy for like especially the club to see their shirts on the walls in like the junior section, the under-18s coming through, thinking, oh, it's actually achievable for us to get there as well.
And what do you think needs to change to get more women and girls coming and playing this great game?
I think right now social media is the biggest thing. I think it's creating such a group of inspired girls because of this, and I think that's just it's magic what it can build for young players. And I think just pride is the word. Everybody feels that about these girls. They feel like they're one of our own, and we're just really amazed by it all.
Thank you so much, Olivia. The celebrations are going to continue here for a long time, I think. We'll just bring you a little bit of other sport now. We turn to Rugby League, and Leeds and Wakefield are unfortunately both eliminated from the Super League playoffs at the weekend. York Knights, though, through to the Championship playoff final. And Halifax Panthers wheelchair rugby team are also celebrating because they completed the treble at the weekend. They beat London Roosters in the Super League Grand Final. It finished 42 points to 32. Panthers had already won the Challenge Cup and the League Leaders Shield. Rob Hawkins scored a hat-trick and says it's been an incredible season.
Every single time we've won something, it's just straight in, like we're diving on each other for an hug because we're so relieved and we're happy that we've succeeded this season. Like we've had an unbeaten season, so we've come away with all 3 trophies, not a single loss on our record. I can't think of anything better.
And at the World Para-Athletics Championships, Hannah Cockcroft got her 17th world title. That is incredible, isn't it? In the T34 400 metres last night. The Halifax Hurricane, as we call her, stormed to victory in a championship record time of 55.62 seconds. Although she has said she's disappointed with the lack of crowds in New Delhi and the empty stadium. She does have 3 more events to come, though. We'll keep you up to date with those. And if you have been inspired to try rugby, they do have a pitch up and play here every Wednesday evening. So come along and give it a go. With the success of women's sport this summer, with the football and the Euros and now the Women's Rugby World Cup, there has never been a better time to get stuck in.
There really hasn't, Sal. Women are firmly on the map in the sporting world, and rightly so. Thanks, Sally. Let's stay with sport now, actually. We're going to move on to footy. A second-half goal from Sean Longstaff put Leeds in touching distance of a Premier League win, only to see their hopes dashed after Bournemouth equalised in added time. A better result for Sheffield United in the Championship, who got their first win of the season, courtesy of Callum O'Hare goal. Bradford City stayed on top of League One with a 1-0 win over Blackpool. In League Two, Harrogate Town made it 2 wins in a row against Gillingham. Elsewhere, Chesterfield FC put 4 past Newport County. Now, earlier in the programme, we heard about plans to improve rail services in the north, didn't we? Let's get some more reaction on that now, because they form part of the Chancellor's speech at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool today. Our political editor, James Vincent, is there. James, we are still lacking a lot of detail on this, aren't we?
We are, Amy. Yeah, sorry about the delay. I've got to now follow the World Cup winners, haven't I? How can I follow that? Staying with Rugby League for a second, switching codes to Rugby League. Yorkshire versus Lancashire, Rugby League game involving MPs tomorrow. I'll bring you the score of that tomorrow night. You're right, though, the big thing today at Labour Party conference, welcome to Liverpool, was the Chancellor's speech, Rachel Reeves. She said a lot of things that Labour want to do. They say that they're committed to infrastructure. That infrastructure that we were looking for a bit of info about was Northern Powerhouse Rail. Obviously, we heard what Spencer was saying earlier in the programme about that reopening of the line after the work there at Huddersfield. But what we want to know is what the future of that line is. The government today saying, Rachel Reeves today saying that they're committed to Northern Powerhouse Rail, but we don't quite know what that is. When they talk about that, what they're basically meaning is the line between Manchester and Liverpool. What it means on our side of the Pennines, we're not quite sure yet. It might mean that new station in Bradford, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what those plans are.
James, we also heard about plans for what's been called a new town in the centre of Leeds. What's that about?
Yeah, a brand new town, South Bank in Leeds. There's going to be 13,000 new homes basically in the city centre. It's going to have the Royal Armouries to the east of it, Temple Works to the west of it, and the River Aire sort of to the north of it. It's going to be that pocket of land there, a brownfield site. The idea is to make sure there's more houses in Leeds and in Leeds city centre. 40% of it is going to be cheaper, so people can buy it. One of the problems in Leeds actually is that the house prices, the median house price, is 6 times the median salary in Leeds, so affordability is a big issue. Also, 38% of people in Leeds can't get to Leeds city centre within half an hour, so they want to try and make sure that that's possible for people to live in the city centre. It goes alongside the mass transit, the new tram that's going to be in Leeds and Bradford. The idea is to help grow the city centre. We don't have a great deal of detail about it just yet, and it's not definite. They're going to have to look at the area, look at the plans, but we'll be hoping to hear more about it later in the year.
Enjoy the rest of the week, James. Thank you. Next tonight, it is time to celebrate grandmothers, grandmas, grannies, nannies, abuelas, whatever you call them. They are the focus of a new exhibition in Sheffield and Harrogate from artist Pete McGee. Olivia Richwald has been for a look.
I had a granny, we called her Great Mama.
So I've got Nan and Muriel and Nan and June.
My nan was Nana Maisie.
Little Nan.
So I had a gran, but now I'm Granny.
Granny, Nanny, Nan, Gran, Gigi, Nonna, Yaya. Whatever you call them, for many people, grandmothers evoke a sense of warmth, nostalgia and the feeling of being loved. And this is where they're celebrated. A whole art exhibition dedicated to nans.
The nans themselves are captured quite nostalgic. They're not the nans of today. You can't tell how old a nan is today, can you? They look about 40 years old. And for me, nans are powerful women, especially your northern nans. Obviously, they're the nans that I know. But I know that they've lived a really tough and hard life.
Pete's Nan back catalogue is shared between 2 galleries in Sheffield and Harrogate, and today he's put on a coach between the 2. Also on the itinerary is bus bingo, afternoon tea at Betty's Cafe, and the chance to reminisce about grandparents who are no longer here.
My nan was a mum of 6, I'm a mum of 6, so I sort of follow in her footsteps, but she was proper powerhouse, proper Yorkshire nan.
They're just always there for you, aren't they? They just love you no matter what. My nan lived to the ripe old age of 106.
She was a firm but fair lady from Barnsley, no messing. I miss her dearly.
My gran was somebody who lost her husband when my dad was 6 months old, but she was a very strong, very caring lady who knew exactly what was what. So I've got a big role model to lead up to now. I'm a granny.
Pete himself only knew one of his grandmothers for a short time, but the nan in his life does feature in his exhibition.
This is my beautiful wife, Jane, but she's also known as Gigi to our granddaughters, Ida and Pearl. And we're kind of a bit more relaxed than the Victorian style of nan, but we're still the love.
Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Harrogate.
What a lovely idea. Grandma and abuela were mine. I'm a traditional type of girl. What about you? You're looking tired. Has the baby been keeping you up all night?
Well, I watched the Ryder Cup last night and I couldn't switch off. It was so absolutely...
got you.
Wasn't it fantastic, though? I'm sure you watched every minute of it, Amy.
Well, we'll be showing a bit of that tonight on the late news. Matt Fitzpatrick, brilliant.
Fabulous. Lovely weather pictures. This was Calderdale this morning. Look at that. That mist and fog took a couple of hours to clear, but beautiful. But September's ending beautifully. Look at Filey today. You had all that beach just to yourself. Absolutely fabulous stuff. And tomorrow, some spots might even reach 19 degrees. What an end to the month. If you've got any pictures you'd like to send in on X, on Instagram, or the Weather Watcher website. So yes, the last day of September looks very nice. There'll be some mist and patchy fog first thing, some cloud around too. But on the whole, it looks dry with some sunshine. And then on Wednesday, more cloud around, a bit of drizzle at first, otherwise it's fine. I think the Atlantic's going to get wound up later in the week, potentially very windy into Friday and the weekend, and I think there'll be some rain around at least for a time. There's the satellite picture. It did cloud over from the west. That's a weak front. It's brought a little bit of drizzle in places, but it's now moving into the North Sea. So a fairly quiet night to come, quite cloudy at first, a bit damp in places. It does become dry with clear spells, some mist and patchy fog in places. We'll see temperatures down to 7 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow's high watts times, Filey 10:37 and again at 11 o'clock. So the odd spot of drizzle around first thing, some mist and patchy fog that will clear. And then there will be some cloud around tomorrow, but generally speaking, it's dry and bright. There'll be some nice spells of late September sunshine and very good temperatures for the time of the year. We're looking at around about 18, possibly 19 degrees. Wednesday, cloudy, damp start. It turns dry and brighter later. Fine day Thursday, but it does look quite autumnal as we head into next weekend. That is the forecast.
Doesn't look like good golfing weather, that one.
No.
You know how much of a fan I am. I'll be back with you late news at 10:30. Hope you can join me then. Bye-bye.